Welcome to Business Talk on Business Tech, South Africa's #1 business channel. And today we've got a very special guest for you, Xapo CEO Seamus Rocca, who's going to be discussing the state of international private banking and the role that Xapo plays in providing financial security and access to its members globally using blockchain tech. And obviously we've got geopolitical instability around the world, rising inflation, energy concerns on the rise. I think private banking has never been more important for individuals that are certainly able to afford that kind of service. Now, Xapo aims to simplify the process. It's got very innovative solutions, with launch back in 2014 and partnerships with Visa, MasterCard, and Swift. Seamus, great to have you on the show. Xapo Private Bank's offering, you've got USD, you've got Bitcoin, both accessible and transactable in one ultra secure place. And I think ultra secure is important in an FTX or post FTX world, and it's very impressive. Can you just summarize for me what makes Xapo unique to all of the other traditional international private banks available in the market?
Sure. So I don't know of any other private bank in the world that would allow you to open up a bank account from anywhere. You don't need to jump on a plane and come and visit us. You can, from your living room, open up a bank account. Of course, do all of our KYC on boarding. And to that, have the ability to send, receive, store Bitcoin at the same time. So combining those two things in one solution is unique. And I think what's interesting is how we got there. We started off as a Bitcoin custodian in 2013. And in crypto terms, that is a very long time. So we've been around for quite a while. And being a Bitcoin custodian, a lot of our initial investment, we decided to buy Bitcoin to, of course, make sure that we had enough capital in that thing that we were trying to custody and secure. So we've got a very strong balance sheet. As you can imagine, if we bought Bitcoin in 2013, the price was around $100 at the time, and we invested a significant amount of our capital in Bitcoin. And of course, that allowed us to create a very secure solution for custodying Bitcoin. And we were quite successful at it. We were the largest custodian of Bitcoin in the world and well known for our security. Then we took a business decision to say, well, how do we make Bitcoin accessible in the retail space? How do we make sure that people can access the Bitcoin product? So then we embarked on a journey of becoming a bank and obtaining a banking license. And in terms of, well, what kind of bank would we want to be? Well, we wanted to be a bank that, was accessible not just to rich people, which is normally what you associate with private banking, but the mass affluent. If you think about the economies around the world, doctors, lawyers, accountants, entrepreneurs in most countries around the world, you might be doing quite well in your own country, but you might have political uncertainty, you might have devaluing currencies, and through no fault of your own, your wealth gets deteriorated. So we wanted to try and solve that, and the best way to do it is by offering US dollars. The dollar is by far the strongest currency in the world, and in my view, it will continue to be the strongest currency in the world for quite some time. So as a result, having this bridge between a traditional bank that offers you a deposit account in dollars and pays you interest, with this idea of Bitcoin being a store of value, we felt that was interesting. The idea of the card is a sense of trust, a sense that you can access your funds at any time. And as a result, what we did was, well, we didn't see it as a revenue-making mechanism. We just wanted to give people access to their funds. And as a result, any spend that you have on that card, we will give you cash back on that account. So one of the big appeals of our product is this ability to grow your wealth by earning interest, not only in dollars, but through your spend and in your Bitcoin.
No, I think, and I mentioned FTX earlier, ever since the crisis, we've realized, and we call them from a regulatory perspective, crypto asset service providers, CASPs. Then globally, you call them VASPs. But we've realized that not all VASPs or CASPs are created equally. And so you need to be able to have trust in whoever's custodying your stable coin or your dollar or whatever. How have you done that through Xapo Private Bank? And what impact has the FTX fallout had on your model?
Well, Let me take those questions in turn. So, firstly, at Xapo, even back in 2014, when we first started, we knew that regulation was going to play an important part in the success of the offering that we wanted to have. People trust banks. So, whatever country you live in the world, you will have a few local banks that you will trust because they've been there for a long time, they're regulated, and most people will just trust them to take care of their money, of their deposits. So we felt that we were going to have this Bitcoin offering, the same would need to be true. So even from back in 2014, we've always actively looked for regulation. We've actively looked for being capitalized, making sure that we could secure your funds. But also, most importantly, what we've always done is we've stuck to Bitcoin. People talk about crypto, and crypto is a very large space these days. Got anything from NFT and stable coins and ERC contracts and what have you. Whereas we only offer Bitcoin, and for the reasons that it's decentralized, it's sovereign, so no government can control it, or nobody can print more Bitcoin because it's finite. So as a result, we felt that as a store of value, it would resonate with the kind of markets that we wanted to serve. Whereas people like FTX and other exchanges will just list as many coins as possible because they're essentially incentivizing people to gamble. They're incentivizing you to take a punt on what might be the next coin that hits it big. And that's never been our view. We've always had a view that Bitcoin is something worth investing in within reason. We want to make sure that people aren't remortgaging their houses and investing all their money in Bitcoin. But a small allocation of your wealth in Bitcoin, it would almost feel like it would be irresponsible not to have it, given the sense of growth and potential that it has.
Absolutely. And why, to your earlier point, as an early investor, you've managed to participate in so much of that upside, and you're not here sitting nursing losses and just talking about the crypto winter because you were late to the party. It still is up, one of the few kind of 1,000-bagger asset classes in the world over the last decade. Now, Xapo's headquarters are in a very trusted financial jurisdiction of Gibraltar. It's regulated to UK standards. Does this benefit your international members, and why was it important to be based there in Gibraltar?
Sure, very good question. Well, Gibraltar, because we're regulated here in Gibraltar, but Gibraltar comes under the purview of the UK. So the regulatory standards here were very high. But whilst Gibraltar looked at this idea of having a vast regulatory regime so that we could be regulated on the Bitcoin activity that we had, the UK is still trying to figure that out. They haven't sort of given any certainty in terms of what that regulatory regime might look like. And that is true for many countries around the world. So for us, this idea of obtaining our banking license in a jurisdiction that also looked to regulate Bitcoin was incredibly important. So both of our operating entities, the VASP and the bank, are regulated in the same jurisdiction by the same regulator. So they completely understand our business model and what it is that we're trying to achieve. So that was one reason. And then the second reason is because anybody from anywhere in the world can open up a bank account in Gibraltar. So as a result, that allows us to offer a global service. And if you think about globalization, you think about people becoming more international, if you think about access to a dollar bank account, if you think about Bitcoin being a global currency, then we felt that being in a jurisdiction that allowed us to offer a global product was incredibly important.
So how does one do that then? How do you become a member of Xapo Private Bank? And who would you say this is best tailored for, and who should consider banking with Xapo Private Bank?
Sure. Well, applying is incredibly easy. Just go to our website, xapo.com, and anybody can apply. We'll ask you a series of questions about, what do you do for a living? How did you obtain your wealth? How much you're thinking about depositing into the account? And of course, we're just looking for suitability. So what does that look like? We pay 4% on dollar deposits. So as a result, if you're only going to deposit $500 in the account, it's not really worth your while. You're not going to get value out of our account. So what we're looking for is, people who are thinking about putting some of their savings with us. Because whatever country you live in, chances are you already have a local bank that can provide you good service for your local currency. But if you put your money in that bank, you still have country risk. Whereas with Xapo, you've got a dollar account in an offshore jurisdiction, and you can open up that account very easily in 10 minutes from anywhere. So as a result, anybody who's worried about devaluation, anybody who's worried about political risk, country risk, we give them the ability to very easily open up an account from their home jurisdiction. You don't need to live in Gibraltar. You don't need to have a passport from Gibraltar. So you can be from any country in the world except the US and open up an account here. And then funding the account is incredibly easy. If you've already been worried about devaluation or all these risks and you've bought Bitcoin, with one click, you can fund your account with Bitcoin immediately. You can send us USDC if you've decided to put some of your funds in stablecoins, or you can send us a good old-fashioned Swift wire into the account.
No, I know. And back to my earlier point, I think people are skeptical of crypto at the moment. So what are the differences here between a bank and an exchange? Because I think this is really important for people to understand if you talk about depositing your Bitcoin with someone like a Xapo Bank.
Sure. Well, the main reasons really are, if you think about regulation, banking is the highest form of regulation in the finance industry. So from that perspective, we have a much higher standard of regulation, which also means higher standards of capital, and that applies both to the bank and the BAS. The other thing it does is, for us, given our custody background, it means that our security is second to none. So we will secure your deposits and look for responsible ways in which we can earn yield, just like a normal bank does. We'll do that both with your dollars and on the Bitcoin side. Whereas if you think about exchanges, they're just really looking to pair off buyers and sellers with loads of different types of currencies. So they're not going to have big pools of those crypto coins held in cold storage. The security won't be as big or as invested in as ours is. And as a result, what you would have seen is exchanges that have been hacked, exchanges that collapse because they haven't had the right levels of liquidity and capital. And as a result, you get a loss of trust. So from our perspective, it was important to say, look, we're not going to offer you 500 coins for you to so and gamble on the next coin that comes up. We want to be seen as a serious player. So as a result, when we talk about crypto, like I said before, we want to make sure that people can differentiate between a bank that offers you Bitcoin and an exchange that is offering you loads of crypto coins and currency pairs for you to trade on.
Yeah, and to leverage and to get yourself into all sorts of trouble. Now, Xapo Bank is obviously,
Exactly.
as you've said, extremely financially secure. You've got high liquidity. You're sitting on top of a substantial balance sheet, as well as those Bitcoin reserves. If there's one thing you'd like people to remember about Xapo, what would it be?
I think for me, it's trust. We're trying to create a product that's simple, that's safe, and that it's honest. So from that perspective, I want people to think about the trusted component of what Xapo can provide. An organization that decided not to allow you to gamble in 500 coins so that you would lose your shirt. A company that actively looked for regulation, that cares about the quality of the security that we give in the coins that we hold, that cares about the capital levels that we have. And I think that as a result, that creates a certain brand, and that brand is trust. That we're a company that you can trust with your deposit, but whether they be in dollars or in Bitcoin.
And tell me a little bit more about what brought this vision into life, and a bit more about the team behind Xapo, and what your mission really is with the development of a very exciting and innovative product globally.
Yeah, well, look, our sort of founder, Wences Casares, he had been a serial entrepreneur and then discovered Bitcoin. And once he discovered Bitcoin, that was it. That was his calling and mission in life. He's also from Argentina. So, as you can imagine, if you're from Argentina, you're no stranger to inflation, to devaluation, to this desperate need to have some of your wealth offshore. So as a result, from day one, the mission was really to democratize this idea of being able to protect your wealth as something that is not only for the rich and the powerful, but something that anybody who is looking to work hard to generate some wealth and some savings could have a product that would allow them to do that without needing to, have millions of dollars worth of assets, jump on a plane and open up an account in Switzerland. Right? Yeah. So to some degree, we're democratizing that for people across the world. For me, particularly, I joined as CFO after I met Wences, and most of my career has been in banking, focused on emerging markets. So this product that Wences was trying to create, for people from emerging markets, which was his own personal experience, was one that resonated with me, and I felt that I could add value to the offering based on my background.
And I think it resonates with so many people here in South Africa today, sadly, with the trajectory that the country is on at the moment. And one can see why, with the background of the founder and his experience in Argentina. Seamus Rocca, thank you very much, Xapo CEO, for joining us here on Business Talk on Business Tech. Valuable insights. Take care.
Thanks, Michael. Take care. Hope to see you again soon.